You ever just, I don't know, suddenly think about the past? Not when you're intentionally looking for memories, but rather you're doing something and suddenly you're brought back to a time long ago. Like making spaghetti and meatballs and the smell takes you back to a time when your mom made it all those years ago. Or maybe you're walking in a park and you spot a t-shirt which reminds you of one of your friends from high school or something. These are just small actions, involuntary ones at that, which take us back in time for a moment, letting our mind relive some memories that we may or may not have enjoyed. And sometimes these memories from another time hit us hard, making us feel uneasy about our current present or the uncertain future or the wasted past. That's just how our mind works sometimes. A few months ago, I was playing Breath of the Wild again before heading off to a party, before this moment happened.
Daruk's protection is now ready to roll.
This moment, pure chance, coincidence, whatever you call it, made me stop playing and look at the screen and just think. This non-scripted event just brought back so many memories of my friends for some reason. Friends from the many different places I've lived, friends who I still talk with, and friends who I've lost contact with. The idea of memories and time was something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, and Breath of the Wild has made this video topic resurface again, so here I am, going to take you down this train of thought, of time, looking back, and moving forward. The Legend of Zelda as a series constantly deals with the concept of time. Twilight Princess has the Twilight Realm, and Twilight in itself is a short brief moment of time. Majora's Mask has you going back in a constant time loop to stop mass destruction, and Phantom Hourglass quite literally has a very important item relating to time. And in comes Breath of the Wild. Although the main goal of the game is to fight Calamity Ganon, the game doesn't want to rush you to achieve this goal, but rather makes it clear that you can take it slow and focus on exploring the world and doing other quests. One quest which is important to both the ending of the game and the point that I want to continue on are the lost memories. Link wakes up after a 100-year slumber, and upon progressing the story a bit, you come to learn that Link has no recollection of his past memories, and in Kakariko Village, Impa gives you an album where in order to remember the memories in the photos, you must physically go out and find these locations to relive them. A lot of people already know this, but The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is truly a work of art. Its combat is satisfying, its exploration is extraordinary, and this exploration also flows into its narrative, with how you're exploring its main story for yourself, with everything you discover in the game being discovered by you. You are forging your own path, and even though you have a main story to fulfill, with some key moments you have to do before you take on the greater evil, but these can be done in any order. The Divine Beasts can be completed in any order. I did the bird one first, followed by the camel, then the elephant, and lastly the lizard. However, you can throw it all out of the window and start with the lizard if you want to, or just go straight to Hyrule Castle and skip everything. This freedom the game gives you is designed in a way that makes the experience you receive from the game be uniquely yours. And for an open world game, this is incredibly tough to achieve. Games like Horizon or Metal Gear Solid 5 are open world but have narratives that push you forward, whereas Breath of the Wild, you are pushing yourself forward. You are in control of the time that you spend in the game. But going back to the side quest that I was talking about, the one where you collect memories. The whole process involves you looking at an image in the album and you trying to figure out where in the world that photo was taken so you can seek it out and remember the memory that you had forgotten. I guess a lot of us can relate to a lot of what the Hero of Time is going through here. Without these memories, our objective is less and less clear. Link doesn't really know who he is or what his goal is. In fact, the goal isn't even his, because without the context, remembering why you have to defeat Calamity Ganon, other than the simple fact that Ganon is bad and is going to destroy the world, the quest is simply an idea that has been forced upon the player. The less you know about your past, the less control you have over yourself. Lots of times, we as people want to forget some moments in our past for one reason or another. However, the more we try to distance ourselves from the past, the more we lose touch with who we are. Memories are ultimately what create our own history. A history that is uniquely yours, a story that no one has lived but you. And trying to forget some of the worst moments can in the end blur out some of the more positive ones that you have lived that came alongside it. Trying to create this new slate of a life ultimately leads to you trying to be someone that you aren't. This doesn't mean that you have to be bound to your past, it means that you have to use the past to make your life story clear. Like Link finding his memories, he learns about what his goal is and, in the end, pursues his goals at a moment's notice. Carpe diem, as some would say. In the moment of our talking, envious time has ebbed away. Seize the present, trusting as little as possible in tomorrow. This is the quote from Odes, written by Horace towards the end of the BC time period. Written in Latin, the main word that many have taken to heart from this is the translation of seize the day, or present, carpe diem. The whole phrase puts an emphasis on the present, as that is truly the one thing that you have control over, rather than the tomorrow. Moments you think you may be able to experience at some point in life may never come, meaning you should always do something as if every day were your last. This whole philosophy, I might be stretching here, I see it as built into Breath of the Wild. With the size and scope of Breath of the Wild, it makes it easy to see areas rather than visit them, skip them for later, or completely miss them in their entirety. Still, to this day, players are still figuring stuff out that they never knew were in the game. However, with so much to do in the game, it can lead to two possible issues. One being that you may feel forced to experience everything that the game has to offer, and the other being that you might miss out on moments that may have been special. But the game doesn't give you a direct solution as to how to deal with this problem. From the very moment you leave the Shrine of Resurrection, the music comes in, and you are greeted with one of the greatest views in gaming history. This world, the journey you're about to embark on, is going to be yours. This view is beckoning you to just go out and explore. Do whatever you want to do to create your own story. From the view, you could instantly go down the main path to the Old Man, or try to go down into the woods below. I don't know, maybe even turn around and try to climb the mountain, because this game is so hands-off. You aren't funneled down a certain narrative that the game wants you to experience, or a certain way the game wants you to play it. This game is above and beyond the most open-ended game. It's so open that your biggest takeaway from the game might be something entirely different from another person's takeaway. It's so open that I'm even making a video on a topic that I don't know if many people agree with me on. That's just how powerful this game is, and how games as a medium is the best way to experience stories, or just experiences in general. And because these stories in general are experiences that we may miss out on, what else can we do than to go out and live in the now? Explore to our heart's content, meet new people along the way, and stop and stare at the beauty that is the world. I personally think that this is the strongest aspect of Breath of the Wild, and how it wants us to continuously push ourselves to do what we feel like doing in the game, just going with the flow. However, as much as we may live in the now, there is always something in the far distance that we can always see, reminding us of a duty that we must fulfill in the near future. From every corner of Hyrule, there is always at least either one of two things you can see from any given angle. You can see the divine beasts either rampaging about or in their stationary position, taking aim at the greater evil, the corrupted Hyrule Castle, which is the second object you can for the most part always see off in the far distance. These structures serve as a reminder, not just a reminder what your end goal of the game is, which is brilliant user game design mind you, but as a reminder of something a bit deeper, your responsibilities. Link is the hero of time, tasked with saving Hyrule once more from the evil Ganon. No matter how we may want to brush this thought aside, we can't, because the game is constantly reminding us that we have our duty to fulfill. It's a big task that we have to do, and we can't run away from it. It's there, always in the background, with the time to take on the big man himself coming closer every second. This is something that is a part of every game that you can simply just feel, but in Breath of the Wild, it just feels a lot more real. In other games like Resident Evil, Dark Souls, even the older Zelda titles, you know when the time has come when you have to take on the final boss, because it's likely that the last thing left for you to do in the game. But with Breath of the Wild, we can prolong this encounter with the last boss. We can look at the castle and tell ourselves, oh, I have to go furnish my house, or I want to complete Eventide Island, or do the Master Trials. This freedom of interacting with the final boss means one thing: it gives us a sense of responsibility. Unlike the previous mentioned games, where you are moved along to the final boss, Breath of the Wild doesn't, so we don't get thrown into this big epic battle, but instead creates a dilemma about the future. Many times, I think a lot of us do, and that is we overthink. We do something in the present, worry about the future, and then think about how we wasted the past, leaving us stuck in a limbo between 3 time zones. In the case of Breath of the Wild, we're stuck in the present, worry about not having done enough in the world, leaving us with dread about finishing the game. Nothing changes once you complete Breath of the Wild, but that doesn't take away from the thought that might cross your mind that you haven't done enough in the game, that there is still more things to do before you take on the great evil. Although in a very abstract way, this whole thought process leaves us with the idea of a strong responsibility that is constantly looming above us. You might feel this from not having studied enough for an exam, or procrastinating too much when you're meant to work, or messed around too much, and then suddenly you stand before Hyrule Castle on instinct. You know there is not much else for you to do, and even if you want to go back, you have this feeling within you that you must press on, and onwards you press. The future doesn't wait for anyone, it's always getting closer and closer by the second, and accepting that fact that we can't control the future, only what we can do in the present, is a trait that in the end can come a long way in life. With Tears of the Kingdom releasing very soon, in fact, later this week, if I timed the release of this video correctly, I found it fitting to talk about how one moment in Breath of the Wild made me rethink everything I thought about the game. Yes, Breath of the Wild has some of the greatest exploration out of any video game ever, a beautiful soundtrack and lots of cool side quests. However, I think Breath of the Wild's strongest aspect is how it subtly deals with the context of time. For a series that has always played around with the concept of time itself, I think it's at its strongest in Breath of the Wild. Not because it's a race against time for the hero to save the day or the passing of time between stories, but rather with its very real portrayal of how time and how the freedom that time gives us is something that we should value and appreciate more. Time might not be a concept as it's fixed, but what you can do with the time you're given shapes up the dreams you might achieve, leaving you with many memories that you can look back upon. We can both reminisce about the times we've experienced and forecast the times that we might experience someday, but ultimately, we're in the present, where we should focus on the most, because that's what leads us to create these experiences in your own time. And with that, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video, it really does mean a lot. If you enjoyed this video, a like and a dislike mean a lot in helping me create better videos, or you could leave a comment with your thoughts on time and Breath of the Wild, or with your own feedback. And as a big bonus, if you really enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe as that really means a bunch. With that said, this video felt really special to write. That moment there in Breath of the Wild by pure chance stuck with me more than I expected it would, but I guess this means that it's time for me to end the video. If you're planning to play Tears of the Kingdom later this week, I hope that you will enjoy your time in Hyrule, have fun with that, have a lot of fun with it. And if you won't be playing Tears of the Kingdom, I'm just gonna wish you and everyone else who watched the video a good rest of your day, night, and week. Thanks again for watching to the end, and with that, Storm out.